SOS.
What was the most memorable Tomcat mission you flew?
So I like to call this story how I got a medal for getting lost. Okay, it was I was flying via F-14As off the USS America with VF-33. The USS America was the last carrier that got to the first Gulf War, Desert Storm. I was on my second cruise, recent Top Gun graduate, you know, the tactical training guy for the squadron, right? Tomcat pilot, F-14A, notoriously terrible inertial navigation system, right? The airplane didn't know where it was very quickly. So we get there, war starts January 17th. Our squadron is just, because we were last there, we're flying cap missions over the battle fleet in the Red Sea. By the third night, we finally actually get to go in country. It's all very senior guys. I fly a mission, I honestly don't remember it. Fifth night of the war, January 21st, okay? I've got a brand new guy in my back seat. It's a 3 a.m. time on target for a transformer yard by a hydroelectric power station north of Baghdad. It's 750 miles from the carrier to the target. We've got 6 intruders with laser-guided bombs. We've got 4 Tomcats to provide the air-to-air protection for these assets, and then 2 Prowlers. Well, as we were last to the war, people weren't very proficient. We get to the tanker, and it's a KC-135 Air Force tanker for pilots, Navy pilots that have to refuel on that thing. It's challenging. It's a very short, very stiff refueling, air-to-air refueling thing. Long story short, the number 4 Tomcat breaks his probe off, so 3 and 4 leave. The number 2 Prowler breaks his probe off, so he leaves. And then actually the strike lead, who's the commander of the A6 squadron and ends up being my boss later in the Navy, his pilot breaks his probe off. So now we've got, basically it's about 5 intruders and 2 Tomcats and 1 Prowler, and we're going north of Baghdad. The other thing that, relatively major factor that we really didn't consider is that the jet stream is blowing across Iraq, and it's blowing across Iraq at 165 knots at 30,000 feet, which is where we're flying, right? And even though the Red Sea seems like it's south of Baghdad, it's actually, you go northeast, and then you're coming out southwest. So we're going north. It's super quiet, right? The whole southern end of Iraq is empty, super quiet. There's nothing going on the radio. We go west of Baghdad and then up to the target, right? And everything's still, it's pitch black. I'm flying formation off my flight lead, who happens to be a Vietnam infantry veteran, who's now the executive officer of our squadron. And everything's nice and quiet. Well, guess what happens when bombs hit the target? People get pissed off, right? So we are now north of Baghdad. The minute the bombs go off, all of Iraq lights up. Air-to-air artillery, AAA, surface-to-air missiles, our electronic countermeasures are going off. Beep, 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 right? Everything's crazy, right? And the AAA is actually coming up to our altitude. You can almost feel it sometimes. So the bombers come off target. My flight lead turns, and all of a sudden I'm like, I can't see him, right? I lost sight, which is very common. Worst thing you can do as a wingman is lose sight. So I lose sight of my flight lead, and now we start talking, right? We're trying to get back together. And we're saying things like, I'm over the really big AAA. I'm west of the really big AAA. Yeah, see that, Sam? I'm kind of, and at night it's really hard to tell how far apart things are. So long story short, there's a way you can range between airplanes on the TACAN, air-to-air TACAN it was called, which is, I don't know what TACAN stands for, but we dial up the air-to-air TACAN, it's called Yardstick is the call sign, and I see 66 miles, right? That's how far apart we are. And I'm just looking at it going, that can't be right. And my flight lead, again, Vietnam veteran, Silver Star, the next radio call is 66 miles, too far. Meaning he's staying with the intruders, they're going back to the ship, and I'm on my own, right? The other little detail, on this, again, the F-14A being as reliable as it was, is I only have one engine that the afterburner works on. And I'm going, it's nighttime, I don't need afterburner, right? Because that's going to highlight you. So now we're getting, so basically the inertial navigation system is really messed up because my backseater, who's a new guy, has updated it so many times that we don't know where we are. It's drifted, they call it. It's drifted. I don't know where. So I look down, I go, literally the only time in my aviation career.
Oh, for someplace. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is that airplane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Train.
What will you tell me the story?
We'll have some good B-roll too. You can do some of that classic B-roll.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sam stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who was the XO by then? What's his name?
It was Tony Reed. Eagle was his call sign. It was Rambo early on. Rambo, because he was a Canadian citizen, volunteered to join the U.S. Army, did 3 tours in Vietnam as an infantryman, came back, did his GI Bill, went to college, said next time I go to war, I'm gonna, I'm not walking to war, I'm flying. Becomes an S3 pilot, one of the few S3 pilots that converts to Tomcats. So he's brief, well, I'll tell that. So again, really, unfortunately, he died of cancer years ago. But again, Tony, awesome guy. Anyway, so we're good now.
Drifting.
Yeah. So the inertial navigation system, my backseater has updated it so many times it's completely useless. So this was there's a wet compass in every airplane. There's a little like Boy Scout, effectively, compass that's on the dash, right? And this was the first and only time I used the wet compass flying airplanes. And I put south on the wet compass, and I'm driving over Baghdad. I got one afterburner working, and I'm doing glibs and these SAM defense maneuvers, right? Basically, you go up and down and up and down, and you're putting out chaff and flares, and there's stuff flying, and there's AAA, and I'm sitting here, I'm literally flying this thinking to myself, if I get killed here because I'm an idiot, my wife is going to be really upset, right? That's what I'm thinking about. So once you get south of Baghdad, though, everything comes down, get on the radio, and now I have my second problem of the night, which I used most of my gas. Right, and so the airplane is now very low on fuel, and I've gone from not getting shot down because I'm a moron by surface-to-air missiles and AAA to I'm going to run this airplane out of gas and have to eject over Iraq. Fortunately, again, this is where the Navy and the Navy Air Wing was great. We had a KA-6, a tanker A-6 that was just south of the border, and they as soon as I got on the radio and let people know where I am, that guy flew north into Iraq, and we were able to refuel with about 1,500, 2,000 pounds of fuel remaining in the airplane. Tanked up, got back to the boat, got a no grade that night. I had a terrible landing, but so then after the war, right? There was I go become an instructor at the F-14 training squadron. And everybody's getting their fruit salad, they're getting their medals for their combat missions or whatever. And somehow I get a medal, an air medal, a Navy Commendation Medal with a Combat V for that mission that night. I don't know why they picked that one, but literally I'm standing there in front of the entire training squadron, and they're giving awards to all the guys that come back from the war. This was probably August or September of 1991. And the skipper goes, "Wow, Yarko, that's really awesome. I got 3 of them that day." And I go, "Yeah, Skipper, the first one I got lost that night. That's what I got a medal for." So that's the Navy. That's how it works. The hairiest missions I did, nothing. I got a medal for getting lost.
Awesome. That's a good one.
And see the entire film now streaming on Amazon and Tubi TV. Or order the Blu-ray and DVD online on our website, speedangelsproductions.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment below so as not to miss new upcoming videos. Thanks for watching.